Welcome back, True Seeker. Tomorrow, April 5th, 2024, it will be the 30th anniversary of the death of Kurt Cobain. His body recovered April 8th. That anniversary will be the eclipse, but they said his date of death was April 5th. And of course, Lane Staley, another Seattle based rock musician, died on April 5th in history. His body was also found after the fact, and they traced it back to April 5th. And then just recently, in more recent years, another Seattle musician, Sean Smith, died on April 5th. And if I'm not mistaken, a Seattle based rapper just passed the other year on April 5th. I believe there are 4 Seattle musicians who've died on April 5th. Again, for sure, Cobain, Lane Staley, and Sean Smith. But I need to check on the hip hop artist. Just jumped into my mind right as I was going live. But anyhow, I want to talk about all of the ritualism that is so apparent in Kurt Cobain's passing. Um, Again, it connects to Courtney Love, Dave Grohl, who became the celebrity of Seattle that year, Bill Gates. Bill Gates wasn't famous when Kurt Cobain died, but both men shared the city of Seattle. Kurt Cobain was the most famous person in Seattle, in the Seattle area, if you will. They weren't actually from the city of Seattle, but close by. Grunge music was associated with Seattle. But anyhow, I want to talk about all the ritualism with his death. Again, how it connects to Courtney Love, Kurt Cobain, or excuse me, Bill and Melinda Gates, um, the man who founded Sub Pop, who went to Evergreen, the college just south of Seattle, same one that the Simpsons writer went to. Seems to always know the future so well, and a number of other related things. But yes, if you're new here, we will talk about Gematria. And again, you can look up the song Gematria, the Killing Name by Slipknot. Gematria is the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. And when you learn this practice, there's all kinds of familiar patterns that recur over and over in celebrity death. And there's also things that are apparent that are very specific to the person who died. Like, for example, Kurt Cobain, Nirvana. Their biggest selling album that really put them on the map as the rock band of the 90s was the album Nevermind. And that album came out September 24th, 9/24 in the year 91, about 2.5 years before Kurt Cobain's passing. And in light of the album coming out 9/24, that was also 924 days before April 5th, 94, the day that he reportedly died. 9/24 release, 924 days later. And in Gematria, there's a few very simple ciphers. One of them is multiplying the alphabetic order times 6. So A is 6, B is 12, C is 18, D is 24, so on. Ritual sacrifice, when you do that, the words of ritual sacrifice equate to 924. Something even easier to understand. Bruce Pavitt, who founded Sub Pop, which was Nirvana's label. Again, if you ever watched my work before, I so often show how these entertainers, when they die, they're connected to their record labels. But the founder of Sub Pop had just turned 34 years old, March 7th. Actually, hold on. I realized something with that. We're going to skip that one with the up. Never mind. We're going to disregard that example. That's a reminder that Wikipedia is always changing dates. For now, we'll forget that example because it's not even necessary. Okay, look at this. From the release of their first album, Bleach, June 15th, 1989, before Nevermind, from the release of that album to the day that they found Kurt Cobain's body, April 8th, it was 251 weeks. And 251 is the 54th prime number. And the first big single that Nirvana had, it wasn't nearly as big as Smells Like Teen Spirit, but the first song that created a buzz for them was the song Love Buzz, which was a cover of a song from the 60s. And of course, Kurt Cobain had recently been married to Courtney Love before his passing on April 5th. And this whole thing going on with Diddy right now has a lot to do with the word love, as we've been talking about. But notice the band that put out the song Love Buzz that Nirvana covered for their first single, that band was Shocking Blue. And the Gematria Shocking Blue is 54. Special number, like Jesuit orders 54. If you're new here, we talk about this number all the time. Why Elvis Presley had his first concert in 54 and recorded at Sun Records Studios. And then his daughter died at age 54, right after the Golden Globes, where the best actor portrayed Elvis, who again had his first concert in 54. In the same cipher, Golden Globes equals 54. The phrase teen spirits 54. Think about the day that Kurt Cobain was pronounced dead. April 5th, a date that can be written 5/4, like 54. 5/4. Diddy right now is in big trouble at age 54. He's in the same kind of trouble R. Kelly was in when he was sentenced to prison at age 54. And R. Kelly was sentenced on the day that the Jesuits were recognized by Roman history. Again, the woman who's prosecuting Diddy also prosecuted R. Kelly at age 54. She's a Georgetown educated lawyer. Georgetown was established by John Carroll when he was 54 years old. John Carroll equals 54 in Gematria, like Jesuit order. And again, their headquarters is at the House of the Jesuit, Building 54. Again, and They Live, the Enemy of the World's Cable 54. The It crowd in music in the past went to Studio 54. 54, special number. So Kurt Cobain's death, the date can be written 5/4, came his body found 251 weeks after the release of the first album, right? So just familiar patterns. 251, the 54th prime, the date January 25th can be written 25/1 like 251. Kobe Bean Bryant equals 54. LeBron passed Kobe in points scored in Kobe's hometown, Philly, on 25/1 with the 54th points of the game. That's when he passed Kobe. And then Kobe died the next day, one Sunday before Super Bowl 54, which Mahomes won at age 24 when Kobe wore 24 with the Lakers. Missouri's the 24th state. Anyway, just trying to connect the other relevance of this number and just mega death rituals in the world of celebrity. It's part of Kobe's death. It's part of Cobain's. It's part of a lot of people's infamous deaths, or if it wasn't their death, their destruction, like R. Kelly and now Diddy. So, Shocking Blue, the band that did the song Love Buzz, knows how the word love with the alphabetic order forwards and backwards is 54. And again, Kurt Cobain was married to Courtney Love. The guy, Lil Ron, who just sued Diddy for supposedly fiddling him, he produced Diddy's album Love. And whatever Lil Ron's real name is, I forget what it is. His real name is 54 as well. But Courtney Love had just recently married Kurt Cobain. And notice, Courtney equals 95, going with Kurt Cobain being found dead on the 95th day of the year. The Jesuits were created to counter the 95 Theses. That's why, again, the 95 Theses was written by Martin Luther. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed on the 95th day of the year because in 1968 it was a leap year, just like today, as I do this, it's April 4th, the 95th day of this leap year. But Kurt Cobain wasn't killed on a leap year, so he was killed on April 5th, the 95th day of the year. Courtney Love's birthday is July 9th. This death was 95 days before her birthday that year. And with regards to just familiar Jesuit patterns, which include 54, 95, another one of their numbers is 187. And from the anniversary of the original Love Buzz song to Kurt Cobain's death was 187 days later. That's the homicide code. And Society of Jesus, the formal title of the Jesuits, equals 187. So does Washington, D.C., for the record, where the Jesuits set up camp when they came to America. As we've talked about so many times, Cobain died 44 days after his own birthday. And he also died 193 days after the last anniversary of the release of Nevermind, and 193 is the 44th prime number. But 44 is this fateful number. Again, kill equals 44, execution 44, the name Cobain's 44, Seattle's 44. And funny enough, if you measured from the anniversary of the release of the album to the day his body was found, April 8th, it'd be 3 days later. So it's 190 days later. 190 is the 19th triangular number. Seattle equals 19 when you run it forwards, 44 when you run it in reverse. And remember, Seattle has a lot to do with 9/11 and the 19 hijackers and COVID 19 years later, COVID 19. Anyhow, the perfect patterns over and over. We talked about the 924 days from the release of Nevermind on 924 to his death April 5th, when ritual sacrifice is 924. If you can see, that's also 132 weeks. And remember, from the founding of this country, or excuse me, from the founding of the Illuminati, May 1st, 1776, and it was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. But from its establishment, May 1st, 1776, to the naming of this country, September 9th, 1776, was a span of 132 days. And United States of America equals 132, going with the 132 rooms in the White House. And the White House is named after the Catholic architect who was behind the project. But Roman Catholic equals 132, Catholic Church equals 132. If you do it the small way, Roman Catholic Church is 94, like Seattle, Washington's 94. So this happens in the year 94. Again, as we'll get to, 94 days after Bill and Melinda Gates' wedding on New Year's Day. But 94, 132, big church numbers. And with regards to the 924 piece and it being synced with Courtney Love and also the Love Buzz song, here's an older post, something we talked about in years past. Again, you can see here the 193 days from the Nevermind anniversary, the 44th prime number, and from Kurt Cobain's birthday to the death, 44 days, like Cobain and Killer 44, Seattle Execution, 1994, Seattle, Washington 94, Seattle Alone 44. Again, the 924 days. In tarot cards, the High Priestess card has a relationship. And notice the High Priestess has that gematria of 924 in the English extended cipher. The High Priestess, Courtney Love, Masonry, Boaz and Joaquin. We'll get to that piece next. The Pillars of Masonry, Boaz and Joaquin from Solomon's Temple. The High Priestess tarot card meaning love, right? Money. Of course, death is money in the recording industry. You know, they probably sold more records than ever after he died. But yes, 95th day of the year, Courtney 95, her birthday July 9th, the death 95 days before it. Okay, we'll come back to some of these other points I've written down there. Okay, so the man who wrote the song Love Buzz that they covered for their first single, notice he was born in 44. He was born in the year 44. From his last birthday, Robbie Van Leeuwen, to Kurt Cobain's passing was 158 days later. Freemasonry. Here, let me actually pull up the base ciphers and just write out Freemasonry here. Again, there's 4 base ciphers, alphabetic order, forwards and backwards with numerology. So notice Freemasonry equates to 158, like it was 158 days after his birthday. We'll get to the Melinda Gates piece because she was married to Bill that year, again, 94 days before Kurt's death. But she's from a family of Jesuit priests, and her birthday is the 15th of August, 15/8, which is the same day in history the Jesuits were created in France. But Freemasonry, okay, so 158 goes with the original singer of the song Love Buzz, or the writer of the song, I should say. Freemasonry, 139. Nirvana's last album was put out on the 13th of September, the day Tupac would eventually die on, and Tupac Shakur equals 139 as well. Tupac Shakur also equals 58, like you see on the screen. But Freemasonry, 58 and 59. Look at Courtney Love. Courtney Love is 58 and 59, just like Freemasonry. And April 5th, that day that day through December 31st, those are the last 271 days of the year, which is the 58th prime number. And again, modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation, so these things go hand in hand. Like right now, the current Pope, Pope Francis, his name equals 58 and 59. He became a Jesuit in 1958. Benedict stepped down on the 59th day of the year for him. The 59th presidential election, Joe Biden was elected number 46, exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, when the only other Catholic president was killed at age 46, and that was John F. Kennedy, which equals 59. Catholic equals 46. So does sacrifice. Genesis 46 begins with the sacrifice. Kurt Cobain died 46 weeks after the sitting Pope's birthday. Pope John Paul II, who was Pope at that time. Oh, that's right. Kurt Cobain also died on the 271st day of Courtney Love's age as well, the 58th prime number. And notice that her and Kurt were married on February 24th. Remember, that's the day in history that the Gregorian calendar named after the Pope was implemented. And it was implemented by the Jesuit priest Christopher Clavius. And it was implemented in a big 68 ritual. And Seattle, Washington equals 94, like we said. You run it the other way, it equals 68. But this was the death of a star, synced up clearly with the calendar. The word Gregorian equals 58, like calendar equals 58, like zodiac equals 58. The singular star equals 58, and the plural stars is also 58. Alphabetic order forwards and backwards. Star 58, stars 58. Again, all these words. Gregorian also has the 94. And again, they're married on the anniversary of the Gregorian calendar's implementation. Gregorian and then calendar. Again, is 58, so is zodiac. Calendar's also 158. Zodiac needs a Z. 58. Again, whenever you dissect these rituals and you just look back, you just see how many clues were there for who was really behind this. And again, the Catholic Church gave us the calendar and the language. We're on a calendar named after the Pope. Over and over, you see these rituals are in tribute to the Pope. The whole 54 piece, the nearest star from the way we understand it is the sun. Sun is 54, like Jesuit order. Sun is also 27, like Kurt Cobain's age of death, as well as a lot of young rock stars, a lot of young stars, a lot of young suns, dead at 27. Again, ritual also equates to 27. And for the record, ritual equates to 45. April 5th can be written 4-5. It's like Berlin Wall equals 45, and Donald Trump, Mr. Build a Wall, became the 45th president-elect on the 27th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, which Reagan said to tear down. And then Reagan ran on mega like Trump, the highest degree of the Church of Satan, mega. But anyway, star rituals, sun rituals. It's like we were talking about why it comes back to the same numbers so often. And I was just about 6894 with Seattle. Here's another name for the sun, Helios. Helios has the 6894 like Seattle, Washington. Ironically, where you don't see much of the sun, but in the months where it is sunny in Seattle, it's one of the most beautiful places in the whole world because of all the greenery and mountains. Seattle's surrounded by mountains if you've never been there. Yeah, just one of the most obvious things, like if you're trying to share this with your friends and family, one of the most obvious things would just be like, what are the odds that, you know, Kurt Cobain died and then Bill Gates became famous that year after he died, and Kurt Cobain just happened to die 206 days before Bill Gates' birthday. Seattle's the 206 area code. In Jewish gematria, sacrifice equates to 206. Again, 206 bones in the adult human body. In gematria, Masonic temple equals 206. Going with the whole phrase, the body's the temple. In light of the connection of the Pope, Kurt Cobain died 25 months and days after he was married to Courtney Love. Pope and death have that gematria 25. And let me make sure I'm not mistaken here with, I don't think cross does, but time does. I just remember The I wanna say that in the In Utero hit song, Heart Shaped Box, I wanna say there was some cross symbolism in that music video. But time is 25, like death is 25. Death is also 97, the 25th prime, and Pope's 25. Again, he died 46 weeks on the nose after the Pope's birthday. That's 322 days. Like ordered 322, Skull and Bones, the Brotherhood of Death, which gets its symbolism from the Templars, the old military order of the Catholic Church. That's why the Templar cross and the Jesuit logo. Seattle is a Jesuit stronghold. It's got one of the nation's 27 Jesuit universities. That's why everything about the pandemic was all Jesuits, and it had to start there with little Jesuit pawn Jenny Durkin in the U.S. All by the numbers. This guy, Bruce Pivot, again, just the Sub Pop founder. I gotta go back and check my older notes, but I want to say before it showed that he was born a year later. Anyhow, he would have been 35 years old at the time of Kurt Cobain's death if he was born in 59. 35 is a very Catholic number, and I did see a few 149s when I was typing away. That's the 35th prime number. Skull and Bones also has that 149 connection, which is known as Order 322 and lighted 322 days after the Pope. Roman Catholic Church 94, High Ritual, mega star on the world stage. Goes out in a big ritual. Okay, so just some other reminders. That's not the one I want. Let's see. Did you know that Bill and Melinda met in 87, the same year that Nirvana was founded? I know I got this somewhere in a screenshot, but 87. Notice how Bill Gates equals 87. Bill Gates is 87 and Buddhist. Again, this concept of nirvana comes from the Buddhists. Buddhist is 87. Buddhist and nirvana. If I read out the Catholic Church, it's also 87. The Pope, the current Pope is 87 right now, funny enough, for this 30th anniversary. But yeah, they got married January 1st, 94. 94 days later, Kurt Cobain's dead in the 94 city. Seattle won its only Super Bowl in the 94th NFL season. Then Russell Wilson lost his grandfather at age 94. It's kind of like how Bill Gates lost his mother in 1994 as well. And then his father died at age 94 in 2020, the year of the pandemic, when coronavirus pandemic is 94. And the pandemic, happened after the first case in Seattle, which was the first case in the world outside of mainland China. And it was almost a decade to the day of Bill Gates's Decade of Vaccines pledge, which he pledged on the 94th day of his age in Davos, Switzerland, which equals 94, like Seattle, Washington. Again, last year we were educating about all this stuff on opening day of the NFL season. We were out there in front of the Seahawks stadium before the game was played, explaining why. What's wrong with me right now? What's the quarterback for the Rams? Matt Stafford, who just won the Super Bowl the other year. But we were explaining why Matt Stafford was primed to get his 94th win opening the season in Seattle, just as he did. For the record, In Utero is also 87, their last album. It's like their music was going backwards in terms of names. The middle album's got a Little Baby Swimming. And then In Utero's got to be like In Uterus. So like even before that, there's something to think about with that as well. A Stunted Society. But yeah, that's the screenshot I was looking for. 1987, Bill and Melinda meet. 1987, Nirvana's formed in Aberdeen, Washington. Bill Gates, he got famous that year with the 94 Playboy interview. Let me go back to Hugh Hefner's death. Didn't Hugh Hefner die at age 95? Am I not mistaken about that? Right before Vegas got all shot up? Hold on. Why? How can I wonder if it's. Sorry, guys. Google deletes tons of posts from here. I wonder if they got rid of my post on Hugh Hefner's death. That is crazy. Hugh Jackman. He didn't die at 95. You know what day he died on September 27th, the day leaving 95 days left in the year. Again, the Jesuit recognition anniversary. He's known for wearing the red and black smoking jacket when the colors of the Jesuits are red and black. Um, you see that Society of Jesus 79, like his full name, Hugh Marston Hefner 79. Courtney Love has the July 9th birthday, 7-9. Um, OJ Simpson also has that birthday. And OJ Simpson was released from prison right before the Vegas shooting, just like Hugh Hefner was dead. But yeah, the parallel here is just he's on the day leaving 95 days left in the year, whereas Kurt Cobain was the 95th day of the year. And then again, Bill Gates got on the map because he did the Playboy interview in the year of Cobain's passing. Hold on. I forget what day the 1999 interview was, or the 1994 interview was. I made all the notes here in this post about Bill Gates' mother and father. Yeah, that's right. So Bill Gates' father died on the 258th day of the year. And just notice how the full name, William Henry Gates, has that 258. William Henry Gates is 201 and 258 in the same way Order of Illuminati is 201 and 258. And the Jesuit order is 201 and 84. And again, the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. 96 is a big Freemason number. The 3 degrees of the Scottish Rite, 31, 32, 33, add up to 96. Freemason equals 96. Again, the Scottish Rite rites were written by Jesuit priests. Here's an old post about 94 and 54 in light of Kurt Cobain. Oh, yeah, that's right. The electrical employee who found him dead in the garden in the greenhouse worked for VECA. That's how they describe him. VECA electric employee, which has the 94. Greenhouse has the 5445 connection going with the date. Kurt Cobain had overdosed supposedly in Rome. I mean, you think about the Pope, right? On March 3rd, 3-3, and then he dies 33 days later. That would also be a span of 34 days. That'd be a span of 34 days, and that matters because Nirvana is 34. It's 33 days later, span of 34. Oh, Nirvana's also 79, of course, like Courtney Love's 7-9 birthday, and Seattle's on the 47th parallel, but Nirvana's 34. Suicide, that is say that's what Kurt Cobain did. I don't know if I can spell it right. Suicide is 34. Also 47, going with the 47th parallel. And murder also is 34. The April 5th date, 4-5, just regards to the Jesuits, their acronym in their logo, IHS for Isus Hominum Salvator, 45. Isus Hominum Salvator equates to 274, like how they've celebrated the sun's birthday in the sky since 274 AD. And you run it the other way, it's 266, like how the first Jesuit pope is Pope Francis, the 266th. Tom Grant, the detective, his name was 45. I put it all in this post. Melinda, with the August 15th birthday, the day the Jesuits were born. And again, here's the measurement from Kurt Cobain's death to Bill Gates' birthday. 206 days, sacrifice, Seattle area code. You know, Bill Gates was 38 years old at the time, too. And death, murder, killing, RIP, they all have that Gematria 38. And by the way, this musician who just died the other year from Seattle, Brad's Sean Smith, he died at age 53, which means he died in his 54th year of life. When you turn 53, you begin your 54th year of life. Again, just like how when you're born, you begin your first year of life, you turn 1, you begin your second year of life. But Sean Smith has the same birthday as Bill Gates, October 28th. From Spokane originally, and made a music career for him in Seattle. Spokane's where the other Jesuit universities in Washington State. Again, there's only 27 in the whole nation, but 2 are in Washington State, Seattle U and Gonzaga. And remember the ritual they just did with the Seattle U star, Elgin Baylor, dead at age 86, right before Baylor beat Gonzaga with 86 points in the championship. It was all about 201, another huge Jesuit number. For the record, Sean Smith, who died that day, 44, like Seattle, like Space Needle, like Cobain. Again, reminder, Cobain died 44 days from his birthday. Lane Staley of Alice in Chains, his death was 139 days before his upcoming birthday that year. Lane Staley, 139. Can we talk about Freemasonry's 139, like Tupac Shakur, who died on 13/9, the same day in history the last Nirvana album was put out? And just the whole thing with the rappers, too. Just Biggie dies right after the Life After Death album's released, and Tupac dies on the Biggie album release anniversary of Ready to Die. And again, Nirvana's putting out their last album on that same date. In light of this man dying at 53, there is a significance to 53. 53 is the 16th prime number, like Super Bowl 53 had only 16 points in it, and the Patriots, which equals 53, beat Los Angeles. They beat them with 13, like LA's 13. 13-3 was the score. Football's 133. But anyway, 53 is the 16th prime, going with his band name, Brad, 16. They were formed in 92 in Seattle, the same year Kurt and Courtney Love got married. The only big singer for the 90s grunge bands that still lives is the one that Eddie Vedder, who replaced, I cannot think right now. There was a singer for that band that became Pearl Jam that died. Andrew Wood. Andrew Wood died in a big Seattle ritual. And then Eddie Vedder became the singer, and now he's the only one that's still living. Everybody else is dead. Chris Cornell, they got him before the last big eclipse. And remember, Cornell's birthday is the 201st day of the year. Black hole sun equals 201. And then on his birthday, they said Chester Bennington hung himself. That Seattle-Chicago connection through Sleepless in Seattle and the whole COVID thing, with the first 2 cities in the world with COVID outside of China were Seattle, then Chicago. And with Tom Hanks being the first celebrity with the virus, like his wife dies from illness in Chicago and he moves out to Seattle. He was doing the Elvis movie. Was Tom Hanks when all that happened. Okay. So yeah, just about just deadly patterns. 44. Kurt Cobain 44, dead 44 days after his own birthday. I just want you to see that here we are on 4/4, the anniversary of MLK's assassination, and CNN put out this story today. Report estimates global cancer cases will jump 77% by 2050. And again, it's on 4/4, and they're broadcasting from Georgia, where the Georgia Guidestones were put up March 22nd, 1980, meaning they would have turned 44 this year on March 22nd. And the big story that day was that cancer had gotten into the body of Kate from the royal family. We were talking about why it mattered that that was on the 44th anniversary of the Georgia Guidestones, because the last line on there was "Be not a cancer on the earth," when the first line is about reducing the Earth's population drastically to 500 million. And again, in Gematria, cancer equals 44, like chemo, like kill, like Georgia, like genocide, like execution, like Pfizer, like medicine, like hospital. And as for that 77% jump, this is a broadcast out of Georgia from CNN, but projecting for the United States. And, United States has that 77, the nation's capital on the 77th meridian. But that's one of the stories on this 4/4. And then again, it's the anniversary of MLK's assassination, which was a year to the day of his speech Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence, saying that the military was the source of everything wrong in the U.S. because its policies were deadly and evil and creating, bad things in the world, including in the hearts and minds of men who'd come back to their own country after the war if they survived and then take it out on their friends and families and end up with addictions and out on the streets homeless, dealing with the trauma of the war. MLK gets shot a year to the day later. And now here we are all these years later, 56 years after MLK was shot on this day. And you got Netanyahu, who gave the 44th president 44 seconds of silence at the United Nations a decade ago. Now here you have him on 4-4 talking about how he didn't mean to blow up all these aid workers as we give even more money to Israel. Again, this whole thing Biden's doing right now, talking, with a stern tone against what Israel's doing, but then sending more money and more bombs. I mean, it just shows you what a joke it is. But remember, on this 44, they're talking about this on this 4-4 day. Joe Biden equals 44, like Netanyahu, like Israel, like Zion, like military, like shooting, like execution, like kill. The abbreviation for World Central Kitchen, WCK 44. The VP to once what was number 44. The most famous civil rights leader dies on 4-4, and then the first black president's elected number 44, 44 years after the Civil Rights Act, running on hope, which equals 44. So just think about all these stories, all these rituals over the years, and how these same numbers of death, how they get played over and over. How about this? We've been talking about Kobe's death in a clear Jesuit ritual for a long time. Kobe died at age 41 on the Pope's 41st day of his age while traveling from Catholic Mass. And then the Lakers won the finals that year on Father-Daughter Day, 41 weeks after LeBron's birthday. But now on April 1st, April Fool's Day, 4/1, they got to put out this Kobe replica ring selling story for $927,000 when the Jesuit recognition anniversary, September 27th, 927. And then they got to bring up Bill Russell in the story. And remember, Bill Russell just died on the last day of the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year, July 31st. 31 the 11th prime. He won 11 championships. He went to the Jesuit school, San Francisco, played for Boston, dies right after Boston, loses to San Francisco in the championship, falling to 17-5 in finals when Pope Francis is 175. Warriors get to 7-5 like Catholic Church and Roman Catholic 75. Again, I mean, this stuff is just so transparent when you know what these numbers mean. But yeah, anyhow, if the weather holds up for tomorrow and I can get Sweet Lady on board tonight, that's a big if because she's going through a tough time right now. And I guess this 9-week period can be like the worst for the uncomfortable feelings. But if I can get her on board, I'll definitely be out in Seattle tomorrow. If I can't get her on board for tomorrow, we're going to make it happen in the not too distant future. Again, Seattle's a great place to speak out when the weather gets better because the tourist attraction Pike Place Market is always packed with people. And tomorrow it's supposed to be sunny with cloud breaks. And here, let me see if the forecast has changed. Let's see. Yeah. It says 56 degrees, huh? The low's 42, the high's 56. But yeah, if I can get Sweet Lady on board, we'll be out there tomorrow for the anniversary. If not, in the not too distant future. So. Oh yeah, I got to make this point too. Again, we've been talking about this for several months now since it first broke that Judge Eileen Cannon had set a tentative court date for Donald Trump of May 20th. Again, this broke last year. It's probably 6-month-old news now, but now there's been this ongoing thing with Trump and the judge he appointed, Eileen Cannon. But the thing about May 20th, here, I have to make a point to go back to May 20th when the Superior General died recently in Japan. But May 20th is the day in history that is celebrated as Cannonball Day by the Jesuit order. And this is Judge Eileen Cannon, appointed by Jesuit-educated Donald Trump. But Judge Eileen Cannon has had this tentative date for, again, Cannonball Day. And that's the day to remember Ignatius of Loyola being shot with a cannonball. And I noticed something looking at this because I just started thinking about it more. This is today. This got promoted to the latest news. Judge rejects Trump bid to dismiss criminal charges in classified documents case, going back to Mar-a-Lago. But this gets promoted on April 4th. April 4th, the anniversary of the assassination of MLK, which was the same year as the assassination of RFK. And we know RFK Jr. got in the race this year, 144 days after the Superior General's birthday, when his father died at 1:44 a.m. And JFK died 144 days from meeting with the Pope. And Donald Trump once posed on the 144th day of the year with the Pope, May 24th, 2017. 144 is another special Jesuit number. Jesuit orders 54 the small way. It's 144 the big way. But anyway, getting shot, right? Getting shot with a cannon. And now today, April 4th, is also the anniversary of the first president ever dying in office. William Henry Harrison died April 4th, 1841. So this day is associated with presidential death. It's associated with assassinations. She's got the connection to Ignatius of Loyola being shot with a cannonball. And in light of the whole 44 piece, JFK was number 35, but the 44th term president, number 35, killed at age 46. Catholic equals 35 forwards, 46 in reverse. Notice how Judge Cannon overlaps with Dealey Plaza. The exact same in every cipher. And there's that 54 again. For the record, Ambassador Hotel equals 54 as well, where RFK was shot. It was a year ago today. It was a year ago today that RFK Jr. got in the race. April 5th, which can be written 4-5 or 5-4. But remember, Trump's going to turn 78 soon. Kennedy equals 78, as does Cleveland. Grover Cleveland was the only split-term president. Seems like they're going to pay tribute to all this history through this one specific age, 78. The word Jesuit, 78. 78 cards in the tarot deck. The top cards are Trump cards. The tarot ritual and the Nirvana. Kurt Cobain death, as we just mentioned, with the High Priestess card. So I noticed how Trump equals 88, like Cannonball, like Pamplona. It was the Battle of Pamplona where Ignatius of Loyola was shot. 88's been a big recurring number with Trump's presidency. Mar-a-Lago was raided on August 8th, 8-8, and then that's where the classified documents were found. And this is, again, back to the classified documents with a Florida judge. For the record, Cannonball also has the Gematria 56, like Society of Jesus, reminding us that November 5th is Guy Fawkes Day to the Jesuits, the day of the upcoming election, the day leaving 56 days left in the year, when Trump supposedly survived an assassination November 5th, 2016, 8 years to the day of the election. I'm still waiting for them to give us a full birthday for Eileen Cannon. She's born in 81. Biden's 81 years old right now. Another ritual number. Cali, Colombia equates to 95, where she's from. This story on the 95th day of the year. Her full name, Eileen Mercedes Cannon, 109 like shooting. Reminds of Ignatius of Loyola on the 109th day of the year being recognized as the first superior general. It's the day in history the American Civil War began, April 19th. In a non-leap year, it's the 109th day of the year. But yeah, just about the Jesuits and Cannonball Day. Adolfo Nicholas, again, the last superior general, died on that day. Whoops. Excuse me. In 2020, dead at age 84. Again, superior general's 84, like Jesuit, like the Jesuit order, like the Catholic Church. Again, Pope Francis with the 84 birth numerology. He died on the 191st day of the current superior general's age. Society of Jesus is 191. And he died on the day leaving 225 days left in the year. Adolfo Nicholas, 225. And small way, forwards and backwards. Adolfo Nicholas, 5472, like Jesuit order. Been talking about Diddy lately at age 54, going through all this stuff. 54 ritual after 54 ritual, when his father was assassinated back in 1972. Again, Sun 54, the sun moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. The calendar synced up with the zodiac, this system where the sun's at the center. All these rituals paying tribute to the Catholic Church and the Sun cult through the number system they put into motion back in the 16th century. May 20th can also be written 20/5, like 205. Don't forget that Knights Templar equals 205, because again, they were it before it was the Jesuits. And the Jesuits have the Templar cross in their logo. And then we were just talking about this these books that have been removed from the Bible. Some people say they're not real, but they contend that Jesus had a twin, and his twin was Thomas, and Thomas was crucified, and Jesus went on to live, and he eventually died in Japan. Got to wonder, with all the high ritual by the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits in Japan. Again, the land of the rising sun, the sun cult, Sun Tzu, art of war. The reason we know about that text, because the Jesuit priest Father Amiot who translated it. No historical record of a Sun Tzu ever existing. The only post, I thought I had the notes up here, but there was one other post I wanted to cover about Cobain, and it was the day that they first performed Smells Like Teen Spirit. I want to say it was April 17th, 1991. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. Don't forget, I didn't even cover the Dave Grohl piece. Dave Grohl was the biggest beneficiary of Kurt Cobain's death because, of course, he went on to make the Foo Fighters. People say that song Everlong is about Kurt Cobain. Everlong has that 44 in it in the Gematria. Dave Grohl recently did that 666 movie, and then his drummer died. We covered that in a big way when that happened. But from Dave Grohl's birthday, the 14th day of the year, to Kurt Cobain dying on the 95th day of the year, that's 81 days later. Ritual equals 81 forwards and backwards. Look at all the numbers of Ritual, right? They're all covered because Kurt Cobain was 27 and April 5th can be written 4/5. So 81 days after Dave Grohl's birthday, Cobain 27, April 5th, 4/5. This is why I wish so much that we had one of those electronic billboard trucks. Like we could just park this or just like keep driving back and forth on Pike's Place where all the tourists are and just show them just the way the system works and how you can just look at this. I mean, that's like to think that's to just look at it and be like, that's got to be a coincidence. You gotta want to remain ignorant. 81 days after Dave Grohl's birthday. And the thing is, you could also say it was Grohl's 82nd day of his age. Seattle's got the 82 connection. The Seattle grunge band. That's why they had to, their pandemic by the numbers. That's why they had to start with the big C there in Seattle, which has the 82. And we all know who made a whole bunch of money. Their stock had never been higher. The old Pfizer gang. But, yeah, they started locking down cities all over the world on the 82nd day of the year for the old cooties, too. Okay. But hold on. I did not pull up the post that I wanted. Let me try out a few more words. Because there's something really interesting about the first time they performed the song Smells Like Teen Spirit. Let me see if it's here. Is it in this post? They didn't write the song Smells Like Teen Spirit, their biggest song. It was given to them. And it's kind of a little bit mysterious, but I want you to see what this reveals about the mystery if I can find it. Okay, it debuted April 17th, 91. That was 56 days after Kurt Cobain's birthday. And 56 did I really not write the other 56s? Did I write it somewhere else? Oh, I have it up here. Just you see how 56, Society of Jesus is 56, grunge music's 56. The chorus for like nobody understood what the chorus to the song made. Everybody liked the song because of the energy. Well, I shouldn't say everybody. I'm sure there are people who hated it. But I mean the song was super powerful and popular because largely the sound and energy of the song, but then everyone was trying to figure out what the chorus meant. With the lights out, it's less dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. A mulatto, an albino, a mosquito, my libido. Yeah, hey. Um, Again, you listen to Bill Gates more recently talking about reducing population, and you think about his work with mosquitoes and how, no doubt, in this modern era, libido's way down because most people probably don't even have the energy to get off the couch as fat as they are. I think somehow this song that was handed to him was like a little collage of the future they envisioned, where there's just way less procreation. And was Cobain born in '68? Hold up, was he born in '68? Kurt Cobain? Let me see. 67. He was born the year before 68. Yeah, of course, if he died at 27. He's born 1 year before their master plan year of 68. Not far off. Um, but yeah, 56 days after his birthday, they perform it for the first time. And again, just another huge Jesuit number. And a huge number all over the pandemic. Remember the movie in the Da Vinci Code series about a billionaire reducing the world with a virus that came out on Bill Gates' birthday? Dan Brown, who wrote the book about the Illuminati and the church, he turned 56 in 2020, like Bezos. Jeff Bezos, which equals 94, who started Amazon in 94 down in New Mexico, where Bill Gates started Microsoft in alien land, only to come up to the land of the Space Needle. Oh, yeah, yeah, Buddhist. We talked about 87, how Nirvana and Bill and Melinda met in 87. And then again, their marriage, and then his death 94 days later in 94. But Buddhist is also 48, like how they found his body on April 8th. Illuminati's got that 48 too, getting founded by a Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt. And this year, it's going to be dark on April 8th in the daytime in some parts because of the total eclipse, which reminds me of old Kurt Cobain. Or not Kurt Cobain, but Chris Cornell. And they did Chris Cornell dirty in a big number ritual. And at first, they reported Chris Cornell dead on a different day, and then they changed it to the next day. At first, he was dead on the anniversary of the Wizard of Oz, when in Wizard of Oz, it's the Emerald City, like Seattle's known as the Emerald City. Kurt Cobain died in Detroit, where the Seahawks lost in the very rigged Super Bowl to Detroit. Or not to Detroit, but to the Steelers. The Jesuit-run Steelers, the Rooney family. And but that game was in Detroit. And then Jerome Bettis, the bus for Pittsburgh, was from Detroit. Scripps. Melinda did start looking more dude-like as she got older, if that's the same person. Um, Thank you again to Paula the Kitchen Witch. Appreciate you doing that. You're very generous. And thank you again to God's Node. He said Kurt died 322 days before David Geffen's birthday. Help me out with that one. Hold on. I don't have the connection between those two off the top. Was that who the bigger label that owned Sub Pop? Hold on. Nirvana, David Geffen. Angry letter from Kurt Cobain to David Geffen. Okay, now I didn't know about this story. This is a great find by you. So 322 days is 46 weeks. So that we know what the 322 is about. By the way, the other thing about Order 322 is, again, they're modeled after the Illuminati of Bavaria as well. And Bavaria is another 54, just for the record, and 27 going with Kurt's death. This was in 2016, so more than 22 years after the death, this becomes a story. A newly unearthed angry letter that Kurt Cobain wrote to his DGC Records boss, David Geffen, in 92, a year after the release of Nevermind, is going up for auction. I see, I see. Yeah, very, very good. Let's go back and look at this. So David Geffen, born in 43, he would have just have turned 51 years old before Cobain's passing. His birthday is one day after Cobain's. So that means that Cobain died 43 days after his birthday or on his 44th day of his age. And the 43 is fateful too because Killing is 43, RIP is 43, but also again the 44th day of his age. DGC Records boss. Just out of curiosity, DGC, that's 473. Let me just plug in the calculator. Once upon a time, I had to do everything by hand. I could just plug it in and just get it. DGC Records 51, right after his 51st birthday, right? We just saw that they first debuted Smells Like Teen Spirit on the 17th of April, 17/4, DGC Records 174. I said that was 56 days after Kurt Cobain's birthday, which was true. It would have also been the 57th day of his age. The 57th day of his age. And I want to say there was something about that band whose song they covered, Love Buzz, with 57, but I forget. DGC Records is also 96, like William Henry Gates, who it was all synced up with. It's just making more sense. It's just making even more sense. David Lawrence Geffen, 92, the year they were married. 97 is interesting because death is 97, and from Bill and Melinda's wedding to his actual death is 94 days later, but his body was found April 8th, 97 days later. David Geffen, there's that 56. Like 56 days after Kurt's birthday. Teen Spirit. Let me see this record label. In 95, the year after Kurt Cobain's death, he donated $5 million towards UCLA's Westwood Playhouse. His estimated worth is $9.1 billion. It's like watching that movie, The Fall of the House of Usher. These people that are super wealthy done some bad stuff. How much money did he make off Kurt Cobain's death? How much of his $9.1 billion came from that? He just recently donated $46 million to the UCLA Medical School. Wonder what's behind that 46. So your measurement was to his upcoming birthday, huh? April 5th, 1994. And you're saying February 21st, 1995, his next birthday. Yeah, 46 weeks, 322 days. David Geffen's 81 right now. All the people in this world that just know these dark secrets. What keeps them shutting their mouth is all the money rolling in. And so that they don't become the next obituary. This thing right here. Oh man. He's ranked the second most polluting individual in the world based on how much he uses his yachts. What a nice guy this David Geffen is. We got to look more into him. Who are all the artists connected to this guy over the years? It's funny. I recognize his name, David Geffen, but again, I just had to associate. I'm like, okay, I know I heard that name, but who is David Geffen? Big time record producer. I bet there's a lot more strings to attach to this guy. Anybody else know any other David Geffen musicians over the years that passed prematurely? Who else should we look into real quick? John Lennon's connected to David Geffen. Well, we definitely covered John Lennon's death. It's foretold through Rosemary's Baby. Can I open the phone lines? Here, let me see if they got the call board thing fixed. The service I'm paying for has been down for a number of days. Bear with me one second. All right, their little thing about fix. Oh no, it never mind. It just popped up. Yeah, they still haven't fixed the problem, so we don't have a call board right now. Major bummer. Well, here we got other ways to join the show though. Uh, I will drop the link if you got something to add. So for the person who said, "Hey, can we call in?" I'm gonna expect you to click on that link rather quick. But yeah, the link just dropped. You can click on that. You can join the show that way if you got something to share. Jeff Hanneman from Slayer. Hold on, I gotta go read the names here. All right, yeah, Elton John definitely got it by the code. Cliff Burton of Metallica, they were under Cliff Burton died on, hold on, let me make sure I'm not crossing my musicians, but I believe it was Cliff Burton who died on September 27th for Metallica while they were touring with Ozzy, that big Jesuit date. Yeah, Cliff Burton did die on September 27th, again, the day the Jesuits were recognized by Roman history. Ozzy Osbourne's 201 like the Jesuit order. You guys are naming, some of you guys are naming musicians that are still alive. So we're talking about people that would have died. I see this Jeff Hanneman from Slayer died May 2nd. That's the 122nd day of the year. 122 has that satanic association. Yeah, I don't think I've covered his death before. That was right after the Pope became the Pope, and Pope Francis equals 122, and Pope alone equals 52. He died just, Pope Francis became the first Jesuit Pope March 13th, 2013. How far is Hernet, California from San Francisco? It's more down south. Hmm. Just San Francisco is named after Saint Francis of Assisi, like Pope Francis. He died 91 days after his birthday. The Society of Jesus is 91. All right. All right. What's up, Sam the Shroom Man? Let me switch over the audio so people can hear you well.
All right. Can I be heard?
You're good now.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, so I just wanted to, since this is in light of the whole April 4th thing and Martin Luther King and the CIA, I discovered a couple more things with the 44s and CIA with the CIA as well as 201s. So, did you know the original CIA was the precursor to the CIA rather was the OSS?
The office of what's it called again?
I think it's like secretive it's not it's something like that. It's like something services.
Okay, but yeah, I remember it had a different name. Yeah.
Yeah, it was established in 45 and it was established June 13th, which of course leaves 201 days left in the year. And that was a span of 201 days before William William J. Donovan's his name. He was the one who founded it. William J. Donovan, born January 1st. So June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year, 201 days from his birthday. And, you know, you've gone over the CIA 201s a million times. And also, it is interesting how his name is William J. And now the head of the CIA is another William J. It's William J. Burns. And he's born April 4th.
Okay, 4-4. Yeah,
Yeah,
NATO
and
was
in
formed
addition to
on the
that,
same
also I
history
forgot to
too.
mention that William J. Donovan, who founded the OSS, he was a Knight of Malta,
Yeah.
and now you have William J. Burns, who's also Catholic educated at St. John's.
Yeah. The Knights of Malta are important too because they, again, another Catholic order, has connections with the Bavarian Illuminati. They have the passport that like goes anywhere in the world. So
Yeah, also with the 4-4, I don't know if you touched on it, but you know, like the World Trade Center construction like approval, or was it like Port Authority? That was April 4th, 1973, right?
okay.
Yeah, so this was also with the Biden meeting Netanyahu. Uh Netanyahu was 51 at the time of 9/11, and also I'm pretty sure state of Israel equals 51 too, right?
State of Israel.
Yeah.
Let me see. I always talk about the 201. Let me see the other numbers on it. State of Israel. Yeah, 51.
Yeah, so and then this was so Biden meeting with Netanyahu here. 4-4 also got that connection with 9/11, and we all know about Israel and 9/11, you know.
Indeed, indeed.
And like also too, speaking of 9/11, like quickly here with Donald Trump and 9/11, you know, he's got a lot of parallels with 9/11. Like at 9/11, when 9/11 happened, he bragged about how his what was it, like Trump Tower, or it wasn't Trump Tower, but one of his buildings in New York was the tallest building, and he has a lot of parallels with 9/11 too, because when Barack Obama signed the World Trade Center like construction thing back in 2012, it was on Trump's birthday. It was like June 14th, 2012, if I remember correctly. And since he's all about 119 too, you know how like elected November or won the election November 9th, 11/9, and is taking office with the 119th Congress. I also find it interesting that he seems more connected to 9/11 than you might think, because his old family name is Drumpf, you know?
I've been talking about Trump and the 9/11 connection forever. Again, he was worried about his insurance company the day of the 9/11 attack that was supposedly on the 102nd floor, just like how the attack on of 9/11 was simulated 102 days before it happened, Operation Amalgam Virgo.
Yeah, and like and more on that in a second, but you know, Drumpf is his own family name, and Drumpf equals 33.
Right.
Also, Orange equals 33. Orange also equals 60, like how it's the 60th election. And Orange Man, by the way, what they call him, equals 47 and 88, like Trump, funny enough. Orange Man, 47 and 88. But Orange, 33, Drumpf, 33. Of course, the Twin Towers with 30 for 33 years. And there's a lot of comparisons with Trump and Jesus as well. obviously crucified at 33. And also one more thing about so I couldn't help but mention in light of the whole Eileen Cannon story, that started with the whole that's when the trillion 60s with Trump started on July 14th. That was 60 weeks into the Jesuit Ignatian year when his wife died, and he hinted at running for the 60th election and the 60 cases against him in Iowa.
Right.
So that was 2001 days after he was inaugurated in 2017. That was 2001 days.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and what was it? Also, yeah. So the 666s with Trump too. Just one last thing about the Trump and 666s. You got when he what was it? He hinted at running it for the 60th election July 14th, but he actually announced he was running November 15th, right?
Right.
2022, I believe it was. Yeah, November 15th. That was 666 days after his last full day in office.
Right.
Okay.
I know we've gone over all these things over the last year and a half's time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was just making sure, but yeah, and inauguration day exactly 666 months after the moon landing as well too. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to touch there. I don't know, mainly with the CIA and the other 201s there, but yeah, like. Oh, and sorry, one more thing I'm forgetting. Yeah, you know how they blame the terrorist attack on ISIS-K?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, ISIS-K equals 68, like CIA.
Right. Yeah. We covered that in a big way back when it all happened.
Yeah, and 60.
Again, for people to forget, Afghanistan's government collapsed on the Jesuit order's birthday. One of many Jesuit jokes.
Yeah, and we were in Afghanistan for 71 days and pulled out on the December 17th as well.
Okay.
But yeah, pretty much all I had to add really. Yeah, just a few things wanted to mention, mainly the whole thing with April 4th.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Zach.